Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, where we are at peace still, and we're probably going to remain at peace for a little while here. World tension has actually dropped below 100%, which is mildly remarkable at this point. We are very, very glad about that, but we have some other business to take care of course. Specifically, land forts. However, I've already gone through and done all of the land forts, so I did that off camera because I was just like, you know what? This is not exactly peak content. So the land forts are already done, the coastal forts are already done, and we should be good to go. They're just chilling in the queue. It'll be a while. No doubt about that. So we're continuing to work on the civilian factories here, but what I figured we should probably be working on is modernizing our Air Force and Navy. Almost certainly. So we've got 147 naval experience right now. Let's hop into our production and be thinking about building a ship here. Apparently... Oh, okay. Apparently that ship involves sneezing. That is awkward. It is definitely spring out. No doubt about that. So we've already got our submarine and our cruiser good to go. Next up, we should probably work on destroyers. So destroyers are going to be primarily focused on anti-sub and anti-mine. So we're going to create a variant of the 44 destroyer hull, the latest that we can. And this is going to be anti-submarine warfare, so we're going to take depth charge 4. And we also want to get minesweeping here on here. And then we're probably going to continue with the anti-sub as well as the anti-mine, and just have it be splitting the difference between the two. As far as the main battery goes, we should probably run something like a dual purpose. This is not intended to be a heavy attack ship, but having some amount of anti-air is probably not bad. And then, of course, we've got a direct anti-air module, which we pretty much need to put in. Then we've got our FCS. I want sonar for this. That will be fine. And then as far as radar/sonar, we could put another sonar in, but actually, I don't think that's available. Yeah, cannot have more than one sonar module. So we might as well put radar in there. As far as torps go, we'll put torpedo launcher 4 in and light engine 4. And that's pretty much all we need for our destroyer hull. That is the exact role we want that to be in. So we will save that as a new design. And we're going to put in our 1944 destroyer hull A right into there. Fantastic. So this is not accurate. We're going to have to tick the game forward a little bit, but for the moment, we'll just leave that be. And we need to continue to work on our battleships next. So the heavy ship hull is probably the one that we're going to use. I don't think we'll use the super heavy. I think we'll just use the heavy ship hull. So this is going to be a battleship, and this is going to be focused on heavy attack. So we want heavy batteries here. And heavy attack, heavy piercing, that's absolutely fine. We're going to continue to work on heavy batteries. I want this thing to be just bristling with guns at this point. We're not going to put any aircraft facilities into it. Do we want it to be this bristling with guns, though? Apparently, yes. I expected one of these to be, like, in the rear one custom. I expected us to be able to put in... No, these are all offensive batteries. Okay. I expected us to be able to put in armor there, but I guess the armor's down here. So we're going to take probably... Do we want battleship or battle cruiser armor? Or super heavy armor? The super heavy armor will reduce our speed by a fair amount. It will reduce torpedo damage reduction. It'll increase our HP and our armor to, I believe, the maximum here. So battleship armor 3 would be 40 armor. 55 armor for the super heavy armor, but this would increase our HP more. It's less armor, but more HP. That's interesting. I'm not sure which one we would want to optimize for. Design cost here is 3, design cost is 3. 2 steel and a chromium, so it's the same either way. It probably depends entirely on whether we're planning on taking hits from torpedoes or not. I mean, in theory, we're not, right? But let's go for the additional armor for now. We'll take a dual-purpose secondary battery. As far as our radar/sonar goes, we're going to run radar on this, and we're going to put a heavy engine 4 in. We'll put in our FCS 3, and we're going to run anti-air 4, and we're going to run another heavy battery 4. So that's going to be our battleship. It's focused extremely heavily on that offense. So that should be absolutely fine. And that should honestly plug a pretty big hole that we have right now in our Navy. So we'll go ahead and save that. Now we're at 43 naval experience right now. We might not have enough naval experience to produce aircraft carriers. Let's see what that's going to look like. So this is the 1944 carrier hull here. We can take a look. We might have enough or we might not. So we're going to put Cruiser Armor 4 on here. Dual purpose secondary batteries. We want this to be primarily focused on defending itself and anti-air, except prioritizing hangar space and various other like aircraft things where possible, right? So it's going to be focused on defending itself in the anti-air capacity, but to be honest, other ships are going to be responsible for defending these carriers. We're already at 30 for this design at this point, so we'll put in additional hangar space, additional hangar space. We're now at 40. This is not looking good. Additional hangar space here and additional hangar space, something like this, that would be 50 in total. Okay. So that is good to know. I wish we could save this without, you know, being able to produce it, but we can't do that right now. So we're going to have to come back to that. Now, I'm going to tick this forward a little bit here. We'll get a day tick going. There we go. And that should cause all of this to update. Yeah, that's much better. Cool. So that is absolutely fine. We're at 22 out of 46 dockyards. Let's toss some dockyards into the destroyer hull and the heavy ship hull. That puts us at 35 of 46. Okay, so that's reasonably fine for now. We're going to need additional naval experience, but that is okay. So for now, we're going to need to work a bit on our aircraft. So, to that end, the only modern aircraft that we have right now is the MiG-9, right? I want to get us some bombers for sure. Ideally, strategic bombers as well. So let's get a modern large airframe here. This is going to be focused on strategic bombing. So strategic bomber weapons, a large bomb way, or large bomb bay, I should say. And we're not going to be focused on recon here. This is going to be focused very heavily on strategic bombing. This is only going to be used in areas where we already have air superiority, to be honest. So that'll be fine. We'll do 6 jet engines. And then as far as electronics go, we could do mine clearing on it. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think we need additional... Self-sealing fuel tanks would be interesting. I don't think we need additional fuel tanks. Our range is going to be limited by the range of our MiG-9, right? And the range of the MiG-9 is 1395 kilometers. We're not going to be deploying these in areas where we don't have air superiority, right? So that's absolutely fine. We could do armor plates. That's not a terrible thing. That'll reduce our range a little bit. I'm okay with that, to be honest. Armoring that seems okay. We could also put in some self-sealing fuel tanks just to help the defenses on it a little bit. We could toss in some radio navigation or air-to-ground radar. Honestly, air-to-ground radar is probably the way to go here. Air-to-ground radar, bomb sites as well. So something along the lines of that. And then over this way, what else do we have in here? We could do radio navigation. That will help our night penalty. Why not? That'll be okay. And then we could toss in some defensive turrets, but to be honest, these should not be engaging anything. Just kind of period. So there is that. Their defenses are probably going to end up looking more along the lines of... What does this non-strategic materials usage do? Reduces the production cost, but also reduces the air defense. Okay, let's actually just toss in armor plates. We're still going to have more range than our MiG-9, so that should be absolutely fine. We cannot save this because the weight exceeds thrust for strategic bombing and port strike. Okay, so the weight is 57, so we need to drop some weight. That probably means these special features, right? So probably indicating that we need to remove, say, that. Yeah, that alone does the trick. Okay, so we can't have the 2 armors. That's fine. What else would we want to toss in here? We could, I suppose, toss in some, like, light MGs. We might be able to squeeze that in there. Okay, sure. We'll also put the general aircraft manufacturer in there. That'll be okay. So we'll save that as a new design, and we now have access to strategic bombers. Cool. So that is the M4, and we'll just toss that in there. Now, this is going to be splitting the aluminum, with our MiG-9s, right? So that's going to be a bit of a problem. Now, we've got strategic bombers. We could have those fill the same role as our regular bombers. That is a theoretical option. We could go for some close air support here. And I feel like we probably should go for some close air support. So these airframes are interwar carrier... Yeah, these are carriers. Close air support airframes. We probably want, like, medium airframes for this. That's currently tactical bombers. Okay. I'm not sure what airframe we want for this. Do we want small airframes? Do we want medium airframes? I don't think we want large airframes. I suspect that this is strategic bomber, this is regular bomber, and then this is basically fighters, right? And we want this to be very similar to a sort of fighter. So this is going to be very much close air support here. So we could go for anti-tank cannons. That'll be reasonably okay. We don't really care too much about the agility of this particular plane. So anti-tank cannons would be fine. As far as the main armament goes, we already do have that in there. Okay, so what else do we want for close air support? Well, we could definitely put in armor-piercing bomb locks. This will help us with the ground attack, but this isn't like heavy attack. Interesting. Noted. That's fine, but we do know that a big part of our issue is getting through tanks right now, right? We have no real problem getting through infantry, but having close air support that focuses a bit on dealing with tanks is not a bad idea. So rocket rails would be unguided projectiles. We've also got the heavy bomb locks. We may want to put in something like that. We're definitely going to want to have like 2 jet engines in this, and this is probably going to destroy our manpower, but that's okay. I do want to put in some electronics here. So air-to-ground radar, absolutely. We want to have... I don't care about air-to-air radar in this particular regard. Radio navigation is probably not a bad thing. What else do we want? Well, bomb sites, probably, because we are running some bombs here. What else do we want in the secondary weapon slot? We could do a small bomb bay. That's not a terrible idea. Yeah, let's do it. We'll toss in a small bomb bay there, and we currently have weight exceeding thrust, which isn't shocking. So what else do we want here? Probably something along the lines of self-sealing fuel tanks, bumping up that air defense a little bit. So it'd be something like this, right? Our weight is too high at this moment, and we need to drop some weight. So probably the heavy bomb locks... Hang on, that's not exactly what I wanted. The heavy bomb locks getting dropped for something that weighs a little bit less is probably ideal here. So the weight of that is 6. The weight of, like, rocket rails would be 1. The small bomb bay is actually the same ground attack for less agility loss and a little bit more, or actually a little bit less weight as well. So is that good enough? The answer is no. Okay, that's fine. We've got the armor-piercing bomb locks here, and that is a fair amount of weight. We could go for small bomb bays again. We could also do something like... So that's a weight of 6 right now. We could just go for regular bomb locks. Ground attack of 2 with the armor-piercing. This is much better on naval strike than it is on close air support. Okay, this is not focused on attacking tanks. This is focused on attacking ships. Gotcha. Then we don't want that. We don't want to use that in this role. That's what our battleships are for. So that seems fine. We can absolutely hop over to bomb locks in that case. That brings us to 32 weight in total. And we still have quite a bit of weight going on here. No doubt about that. What is the weight of each of these? 2, weight of 1, weight of 1, and weight of 1. Okay. So that seems fine. Weight of 12 on those anti-tank cannon 2s. Those are very, very heavy. So this is probably where our problem comes in. We could ditch this bomb bay and instead go for something along the lines, because this is a weight of 4 right now. We could go for rocket rails here instead. So that would be about half the ground attack, but we would give up less agility. That does save us 2 weight. We could also ditch the anti-tank cannon, because this is extremely heavy. Incredibly heavy. 12 is the weight of that. So we could put in a small bomb bay there, and this would be fine. The question is, what's that ground attack? The ground attack is 0. That's not ideal. Ground attack of 4, ground attack of 8, ground attack of 6, and ground attack of 8. How are we getting 0 here? We've got some strategic bombing here. I'm confused about that ground attack. I feel like it's not actually calculating that correctly. Okay, so we can see right now that our close air support is... Yeah, that's actually pretty decent. I don't mind that at all. So in close air support mode, we're at 26 ground attack. I would really prefer not to have those heavy machine guns. I would really prefer to have these anti-tank cannons. That'd be a lot better. What if we simply ditched the rocket rails entirely? What is... This is actually valid? Hang on. That's interesting. The heavy bomb locks, of course, is not valid. I want to hop in over here. The rocket rails are only a weight of 1. It doesn't actually change this weight. The weight remains at 30, but there's clearly a rounding thing here. Okay, so we know that the amount of weight we need to drop is extremely minimal. So in that case, ground attack of 6, ground attack of 8, with the same weight and the same agility loss, we could swap these bomb locks over to small bomb bay. And that would be more ground attack than the bomb locks for the same negative weight, right? So that's up to 32. Hang on. Weight of 4, weight of 4. That's intriguing. Weight of 40 when in close ground support. Okay, right, because they're loading up the bomb bays in that regard. Okay, I gotcha. Right. So the bomb locks here are valid in close air support. Presumably because these are unloaded. No, the weight is the same in both of these mission types. It's presumably because of logistics strike. Yeah, it's pretty much because of logistics strike. Okay, so this is valid, and unfortunately, this is not. We could ditch these small bomb bays and replace them with the rocket rails. I really don't think that's a good idea. I would rather just remove these, and we'll just go with this. So we can see 29 ground attack in close air support. That seems relatively okay. We'll save that. So that is going to be our close air support airframe. And we'll move that up to here for now. That seems good. And then beyond that, what else do we want? We've got fighters, we've got bombers, we've got close air support. Well, we would probably want to have naval fighters and bombers. Maybe not naval close air support. But once we have carriers, we're going to want to use them, right? So that is probably something that we want to do. Now, I do want to drop this down to about 30 factories working on the small airframe. I want to put in about 30 factories working on the large airframe, and then 30 working on the close air support. So something about like this, and then we still do have 7 military factories left over. So, if we wanted to work further on this, and we could probably repurpose some of these working on the medium tank chassis right now, to be honest. We have a lot of medium tanks in stockpile, I believe, at this moment, and that should be relatively okay. But I do want to continue to work on aircraft here for a little bit. Specifically, I want to put in a carrier airframe here. We're going to create a carrier fighter. So that is going to be like large cannons or something. I want this to be focused on air attack and air superiority, right? So something along the lines of large cannons or even machine guns. Air attack is the most important thing here right now. So that would be basically the large cannon. Okay. We would also want to have... I don't know if we want to have anything other than that right now. Let's just put on 2 jet engines for the moment. Let's get our electronics going. We absolutely want anti-air radar 2 for this. Defense turrets are probably not necessary here. Air-to-ground radar is not really necessary either. We could go for radio navigation. That would help the strategic bombing and reduce the night penalty. But I don't know that that actually helps us as fighters. Self-sealing fuel tanks, on the other hand, absolutely would. And our range is only 540 kilometers. I would really like to boost that up, so we'll get extra fuel tanks. That's up to 990 kilometers. So there's that. It's not as good as our other range, but that is, I guess, reasonably okay. We can also put in additional fighter weapons if we wanted to, boosting up that air attack a little bit more. So, I mean, we could put in just like a trillion machine guns. Would that actually be useful? I mean, our air attack is 54. What is that in comparison to our MiG-9's air attack? 99? I mean, that is still a significant reduction, right? I want to check in on the MiG-9s here. That's just running pure cannon. Okay. Noted. Unfortunately, I just lost all that we were creating, but we're going to recreate that fairly easily. So we can definitely run just the large cannons. We're probably going to have some agility suffering here. And the weight does currently exceed thrust. We'll put 2 jet engines in. The weight still exceeds thrust. Okay. Yeah, we're going to have some limitations because this is a carrier airframe, right? So that is absolutely fine. We want to run the anti-air radar for sure. We want to run the self-sealing fuel tanks, and we want to run the extra fuel tanks. So something like this, and now we can just start to drop off weight, and that's probably going to end up being 35.7. Okay, let's put in the light machine guns until we... Okay, something like this is what we can do. 68 air attack is better than nothing. So carrier fighters, that'll be fine. We will definitely put that in here. So that's the carrier fighter. And then the carrier bomber. And I may want to actually... Can we rename this? I want to call this the modern carrier fighter. Just rename it. Okay, perfect. So that'll be fine. And now we need to put in another modern carrier airframe. This is going to be naval bombers, right? So do we want this to be focused on anti-ship? Probably. So guided anti-ship missiles is probably okay. Naval strike and port strike. And then this is going to be... Yeah, we can't put any of those others on. Noted. We could put on close air support weapons. What else can we put in here? So we can only put in one of these main weapons. Got it. For the time being, let's just put in our engines. We're definitely going to want to have an air-to-ground radar on this. I want to put in radio navigation, and I want to put in bomb sights. Our range is going to be pretty low. That's noted. We can't put anything like self-sealing fuel tanks up here, sadly. We could do mine laying. We could do airdropped mines if we wanted to mine things. That would be a theoretical option, and maybe not a bad idea to be able to have in our inventory, right? From here, we could do, like, heavy bomb locks. That would be pretty good on Naval Strike. What is that tagged as? It'll not be used on Naval Strike. As another installed armaments category, inflict greater damage on naval targets. Okay, so in that case, there's no real point, right? So we may want to toss on some machine guns, or even cannon. And weight is currently exceeding the thrust, so that's too much weight as is. This would be fine. What if we did light machine guns? That's still exceeding. Okay, so we're probably going to do, like, 2 light machine guns is still too much. Okay. In that case, there's not a lot we can do there. That seems relatively good for the time being. Yeah, this should be relatively okay. So the strategic bombing is okay. The ground attack, I mean, this is naval patrol, port strike, naval strike. Yeah, this is just going to be focused on the Navy. Our naval attack is kind of mediocre, to be honest. Would we rather run torpedoes? The answer is no. Okay, so that seems fine. There's our naval bombers. So that'll be fine. And did I just replace the carrier fighters? Yes, I did. Okay. So we want to get the carrier fighters in here. Perfect. We're going to move those up to about here. Now, in total, we have 5 additional military factories to throw at this, which is not a lot, right? We're just going to do something kind of like this, although we are definitely short on aluminum. I want to move these up like this, and we'll prioritize the MiG-9s at the bottom. This is not a lot of aluminum. We need a lot more aluminum, no doubt about that. As far as the modern tank chassis go, I think it's reasonably okay for the moment, but that'll be fine. Now, we've got these divisions here. These guys are going to get sorted separately, but the rest of these, you guys are fake? Yes. The rest of these are going to get sorted in somewhere around here. Looks good. Hang on a moment. Something's not quite right here. It moved in the armored division and the infantry divisions. These guys should all be real. Yes. So we're going to move those into here. Perfect. That'll be fine for now. Okay, then we've got these guys as well. Oh, there were 2 units of them. I gotcha. That's fine. We're going to move them in there as well. And we know that we have insufficient resources, specifically aluminum and chromium. We've got lots and lots of rubber right now, which means that we do not want to be trading with Peru, Bolivia anymore. So we'll get those civilian factories back. But we are low on chromium and aluminum. So a little bit of chromium from Great Britain is not the worst idea. There's going to be 14 civilian factories to get that amount. I don't think we need it. The aluminum would be a bigger thing here. But even that, maybe we just want to produce at a reduced speed for the moment. So we're definitely lacking chromium for our ships. That's not tremendously shocking. I am wondering what is going on with our chromium right now, though. So we're currently needing 835. We have 728 for use. We have a deficit of 107. Yes, this is accurate. The question that I have right now is, how much are we exporting? 243. So in both cases, chromium and aluminum, we're exporting more than our deficit. So that's definitely noted. No doubt about that. So if we were to do something about that, what would it end up being? Well, we would prefer to go to a closed economy. Unfortunately for us, we have to be at war to do it. And we need to have war economy or total mobilization. So we're on partial mobilization right now. We could absolutely go to war economy, though. Is there any reason to not do this? That'll give us more civilian factories. No, we should go to war economy. We're going to do that, but we do need to be at war to do the closed economy. So that'll be okay. That'll definitely help matters. We do have some amount of resources going to be coming in from over here, right? So currently, it's mostly like tungsten in this area. There's a little bit of chromium. Chromium and aluminum are going to be our primary issues, right? No doubt about that. I want to check up over here. There's just like no resources at all up over in this area. Okay. That is fine, I guess. Yeah, there's a distinct lack of chromium in the regions we control. No doubt about that. Lots and lots of tungsten. But sadly, not a lot of chromium. There's a good amount of chromium here. That's fine. I think what we should do is we should change the priority on this. So specifically, I want to move this modern tank chassis setting down below the ships. So the chromium reduction is going to be here rather than here. For now, that should do. And it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to tick forward more than one day, and we're also, hopefully, going to make our carriers and get those underway. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Atala, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.